Hey there. So today is July 16th, and outside the Mile High City of Denver, Colorado, I'm supposed to be live, but I'm not because I'm heading to the mountains and then I'm heading to Jammin' the Plane. I had the opportunity to interview a very great man, a good artist, and I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to put all his channel links in the description thing on YouTube and Rumble. And I hope you listen. I hope you like it. Me and 15th Bend, it's a great conversation. Support him if you like his music. And I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Make your own kind of music. Sing your own special song.
I know it's a pretty good one, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that one.
So 15th Bend, I consider you a friend, internet digital friend. We haven't had a chance to shake hands or have coffee, but I'm really excited to talk to you about your journey, why you got started, how you got started, and where you're headed. Because I think you're a fantastic talent. I've watched a lot of people come and go, and there's consistency with what you do. So I'm excited about that. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Algo. And before I say anything else, like, I consider you one of my internet friends as well. Like, when you asked me to do this, I was really, like, humbled as well. So thank you very much for having me, and I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, you're welcome. So for people that don't know, and pretty much anybody that watches this, they do have seen you and seen some of your music. What really fascinated me when I first learned is that you taught yourself to play guitar because of the COVID operation.
Yes, that was pretty much the thing that kind of kickstarted this whole thing. I always wanted to learn the guitar. By always, I mean, I would say like 25 years ago, around that time, is when I heard Pink Floyd the first time. And like, most people, they've heard, like, when I say this, they kind of find it weird. The hardcore Pink Floyd fans, the first album that I heard of Pink Floyd was actually Division Bell, their last album.
Oh, wow.
That was how it started. And everything happens for a reason. I believe my taste in music was not as refined, or whatever you want to call it, that I don't think I would have been able to appreciate their previous music if I had not been introduced to Division Bell, because that is what really got me into this, desire to learn guitar at some point in my life.
Interesting.
And yeah, Coming Back to Life by Pink Floyd in Division Bell, that intro guitar solo, that is what I heard the first time, and I was just like, holy smokes, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
Wow.
And I had heard, like, tons of songs with guitar in it growing up. My first one being, like, the first memory that I have of electric guitar is Van Halen on Beat It, Michael Jackson's Beat It.
Yeah.
So, but I was too young when I heard it the first time, so I didn't even know, what the instruments are. I just knew whatever I'm listening to sounds freaking amazing.
You like
But
that?
I couldn't make the connection. This is the guitar and this is shredding or whatever's happening. But overall, like, later, even in the grunge years and all those, phases of life that I went through, guitar was something that I always enjoyed listening to. However, that one song and Pink Floyd, David Gilmour, that was when I was like, holy smokes, I'm in love with the guitar now. And from there, my whole journey into just going into classic rock, that started. And then I just went through all of the classic rock artists that I had heard their names, but I'd never really sat down and listened to their music. And that is how my love for guitar and everything started. However, I think a few years later, and this was a problem because I'm a lefty, so I only had a couple of friends who used to play guitar, And whenever I would, visit them, or they come over, bring their guitar, I would pick it up. But because they were right-handed guitars, I would just pick it up and be like, yeah, I can't play this.
Right.
And they
Strung
used to,
upside down.
they used to joke with me that, oh, you could just pull a Jimi Hendrix. And I was like, yeah, no, 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 I don't think I could do that. Um, but then 2017 is when I bought an electric guitar from Amazon. It was like those $150 ones.
Yeah. Beginner.
Uh, Beginner, absolute beginner one. And I got it, and I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm pumped. I'm gonna learn guitar and everything. And I still remember it came with this really tiny 5-watt amp. That came for free with the guitar. It was
Yeah.
included, so you can imagine the quality of that amp.
Sounded like your phone.
Exactly. I hooked it up into that, and I had no idea. So this is kind of like this paradox with me. I'm an engineer, by education and profession, and electrical engineer, right? So usually when it comes to a lot of things, I get into the nuts and bolts, and I want to try and understand why something is happening. You know, with guitar and with music, I never felt that curiosity. I don't know why. I would just enjoy listening to it.
Hmm.
I would never get into like, oh, which guitar is this? I only knew the names like Fender. Okay, this red guitar that Gilmore's playing. This looks beautiful, right? Or that one that Knopfler is playing. Yeah, they look beautiful. But I wouldn't really get into what's an amp, what's a preamp, what's a cab, what's a pedal, and all that stuff. I just never got into it for some reason. I don't know why. And when I got this guitar and amp, I hooked it up straight into it, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just play something, and it's gonna sound like exactly like Gilmore's "Come to Life."
Good
the
luck.
the first note, two notes I hit, it sounded awful. Like it was horrific, and I was like, what the heck? So then I started googling it, and then I started reading the Google results. Oh, to do this or make this sound, you need this, 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 and this. And I was looking at things that I had heard of them, but I had never really understood, how I would make that connection. So I just put the guitar back in the bag, put it in the corner, and then didn't touch it. And I just didn't touch it for years, for 3 years. A lot of my friends who would come visit me, we would just sit, chill, and I would just have some music in the background playing. And they would always tell me, yo, why don't you, you have good taste in music. Why don't you actually just learn the guitar? And I was like, no, no, man, like that, I don't think I can learn it. I'm too old to
Right.
learn, the guitar. So this is just something I'll admire. And that's it. So I had kind of given up on ever learning it until COVID happened, because those lockdowns, as soon as those lockdowns happened, before that, my life was really into that hamster wheel. Like I was stuck in that rat race like crazy. It was like, morning, like my commute to work used to be an hour and a half each way. So 3 hours in the day is just gone in commuting. And then, dropping my kid off at daycare, or picking up, depending on my wife's schedule and everything. So it was just
Too busy.
it was really, really busy, right? So by the time I would sit down, it's 8, 9 o'clock. I remember, like, after putting the kid to bed, I would just be like ready to pass out. I'd open something, on the computer, like Netflix or whatever, and just kill time, couple of hours, and then you just pass out, stumble up to bed, and that's it. Next
Do it again.
day, do it again.
Yeah.
So what happened with COVID is just because we were stuck at home. So that commute ended, the social aspect, because my weekends used to be busy as well. I used to go play something or meet friends or whatever. Like everything was just done, shut out, right? So I was like, holy smokes, what am I going to do? Because I'm stuck at home, and I was very active at that time. So I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Now I can either get through my 250 plus watch list of movies, or I can go through, some games. But I don't know what happened. I'm just like grateful it happened, but for some reason I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna pick up that guitar, and I'm gonna try and at least learn the basics of it. And because when it happened, lockdown started, they said it's only gonna be 3 weeks, and then we're gonna be back.
Right.
Remember they used to say they flatten the curve 3 weeks and then everything is going to go back to normal. So I was like, it's just 3 weeks. So I'll just learn the basic chords, like the cowboy chords, and that's it. But as I started getting into it, I very quickly realized, obviously, that my interest was always into lead guitar. It was never in rhythm guitar. Also with rhythm, like once I hit the bar chords, like I could do it, but because I have like these two injured fingers, like I busted my ring finger from here and this pinky from here, and this is my fretting hand. So whenever I try and do very quick chord changes, like my fingers lock up still sometimes.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, man, you know what? Like I can either spend months and months on trying to learn something that doesn't really interest me. Like I've never been that campfire musician kind of. I've never felt like that. I've always like been motivated by soloing, lead guitar.
Right.
So I was like, I'm just gonna focus on that. And then a friend of mine at that time, because I joined like this Facebook community as well of beginners, and I made some internet friends at that point as well.
Nice.
So one of them actually told me, he's like, "Why are you fretting over not, playing all the chords and rhythm and everything?" He's like, BB King never played it. BB King was solely like he used to play lead. So why are you so worried about it? I was like, that's all I needed to hear. I'm like, okay, that's the most perfect thing that I could hear. And after that, it was just like all in on just learning how to solo and everything. I can keep going unless you want to stop me. You can stop me at any point if you want to. Like,
No, that's great. No, I'm so glad that you fleshed out the whole story. It did lead me to a question, though.
Yes.
Before you found Pink Floyd and classic rock, what kind of music were you into?
So I was into like there was so many different genres of music that I have listened to and enjoyed at different stages of my life. Right. So growing up, I think if I have to name like a few, Michael Jackson, obviously, like, growing up, he was the fucking icon, the king at that time.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went through like the Slipknot stage as well, like the heavy death metal. I went through that. I went through the grunge era. And then Linkin Park at one point, like Linkin Park was on repeat at all times. But I have a very diverse taste in music. I also remember this one song called I think the group was called Technotronics. Pump Up the Jam was the song.
Jam, yeah.
Yeah. So when that came out, I immediately gravitated towards that as well. So for me, it's always been the melody, the beat. Like if it's catchy for me, I will always gravitate to it. Like that's how I've been. But it's been lots and lots of music that I listen to. But at one point, I was actually just listening to music just as I went through that stage as well, where music was just like something that's okay that you just play in the background. You don't sit and actually focus and listen to it. Right. It's just something that when you're playing sports or when you're working out or when you're just, in the car, you just hit play and whatever's playing plays. I think late teens is when Linkin Park and all those bands started to pop up. Nirvana, at one point, I was into Nirvana as well. So I that's when I actually made the effort of going and trying to save up some money to buy an album and stuff like that.
Sure,
yeah. But it was never like a passion. It was something that was okay. It's an enjoyable thing to do. After Pink Floyd and classic rock like Mark Knopfler, Zeppelin, and all these freaking legends, once I listened to their music, it was like, okay, no. This is like, shut up and leave everything you're doing and just listen.
Because this is something different.
It totally was, and it just completely took over me. Like to this point, Algo, I'm gonna call you Algo here, but
no, that's good.
To this day, I still have not broken out of it. I feel sometimes as if I'm like this, those old school who just set in his ways, is not gonna break out of it. I do feel like that sometimes. A lot of modern day music that I listen to, yes, indie music, the modern independent music, that's a different thing. But the mainstream music is something I don't even know who the artists are. I can't even listen to it. so I'm still like, sometimes I still discover some amazing songs from like 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's something about it. And maybe there's some nostalgia as well, obviously, because music is something that plays with the, your nostalgia and everything. So I'm sure growing up, those songs that I heard, and especially when I listened to classic rock, that era of my life was very in some ways stressful, the college and university and time, but at the same time it was very, some of the best times I had as well. So maybe it's tied up with that as well. I don't know what it is, but I'm just glad I discovered it. And it's shaped my taste in music. It's shaped why I play the guitar and why I played the way I play it. Like I
Yeah.
obviously can't play at that level. Jimmy Page. I remember when I heard Jimmy Page the first time, I was like, holy smokes,
What is he
just
doing?
blown away. Yeah. So exactly, I was just like, you're still in. I'm still in awe of these guys. So I can't obviously play like them, but it's something that has, my phrasing and everything in music, it comes easy to me because of this. I've listened to a lot of this kind of music.
Right. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
obviously from what you said, it's clearly something you like. And
Yep.
so if it's something you enjoy, then it's easy to do, right? I mean, easy for you to want to do.
Hundred
The thing
percent.
that what's interesting to me, and I learned this a couple of your streams ago, by the way,
Yeah.
if you don't know, 15th Bend has a stream on Thursday nights when you can. It's a indie music roller coaster, great time, super fun. Um, I'm gonna put all the links to all of his things in this video at the bottom. He's Spotify. What else we got? 15thbend.com. Go there for everything. And
Yeah.
even if you don't, just go there and give him a click. Give him a click. When you're watching music, just go 15thbend.com. It doesn't take a second. It gets a
Yeah.
click, find something you like. But the point I was getting at with your stream, you'd really mentioned Pink Floyd. But the first time I heard you, and this has been a couple years now, I heard Mark Knopfler.
So Mark
Styles.
Knopfler, yeah. So Mark Knopfler. So this is what I've said a few times on my streams as well. So David Gilmour, obviously for me, undisputed. For me, he is my biggest inspiration. Right, my artist name 15 Bend is because of David Gilmour,
Right.
and I'm sure you remember the story why. Like because some of my favorite solos of David Gilmour, they start on the 15th fret. So he bends the string on the 15th fret, and those David Gilmour bends, like they're iconic.
Yeah.
Right. So when I was choosing an artist name, I don't know how I'm so glad I thought about it because I didn't want something cheesy. In the beginning, I was thinking, lockdown musician or whatever, because I
Yeah.
learned in lockdown. But then somehow I thought of this, and I just Gilmore obviously is my biggest inspiration. Mark Knopfler though. For me, there are days, and there have been many days in my last 25, 26 years where I have been like confused as to when I'm listening to Knopfler, I'm like, man, I learned a lot from Pink Floyd, and obviously they're at a whole other level as well. But Knopfler and Dire Straits, like this is probably my favorite to listen to. And then the next day I listen to Pink Floyd, and then I'm back in the Pink Floyd, bandwagon. But it's that close for me. Knopfler for me is I rate him pretty much as high as I rate him as much as I rate David Gilmour, because the only thing is with Knopfler I don't finger pick, and Knopfler used to finger pick pretty much all of his songs.
Right.
So I can't do that. It's a skill issue as well. So I can't play like him or even try and emulate his play style. But Knopfler 100% is another big inspiration in my music as well.
Yeah, I totally heard it, and I typed it in chat long before you knew me, or a lot of those people knew me, and I'm like, dude, guy sounds like Knopfler. This is amazing.
Thank you.
And
That's very kind.
well, no, and in fairness too, I mean, I think you're a man of great humility, which is a good quality. I try to be humble all the time because if not, you get your ass slapped down. But
Absolutely.
I do think that your current skill level is greater than you think it is. And you don't have to, we don't have to go back and forth. I just think you're not a beginner guitarist anymore. You're not a rookie. You're well into your journey.
So thank you very much. Yeah, I beginner. I would say yeah, I'm not a beginner. That's why I call myself an advanced noob. I'm a little bit advanced, than just a noob.
Yes, you're
But no,
way better than I knew, but go ahead.
the reason why I feel that way about myself is this. So when I started like learning the guitar, I knew that okay, I'm learning at much later in my life, so with not enough time to really focus and practice and sit down and do those 2 hour drills or whatever.
Sure.
So I knew that there's gonna be something, and plus with this pinky, like because it's bent, it's funny, 15 bend has a bent pinky, but when I try and use the pinky, so it bends really back like into my palm
Hmm.
because of that injury. So I was like, okay, so I'm gonna be using very little of my pinky. I'm gonna be pretty much playing with these three fingers. One of them, the ring finger, is busted. So I know that there's gonna be limitations,
Sure.
and there's gonna be skill, and all that stuff is gonna come into play as well. And then when you open, then when I started making my own music, and then I went to Instagram or YouTube, and you start seeing all these guitarists online, they're like picking the guitar like at lightning speed, and you just feel like holy smokes, man, like what the heck am I doing, but at the same time, for me, it's yes, when I was much younger, like for me, like shredding and everything was like number one. I used to that's what I started like gravitating towards, right? Like Malmsteen, like freaking picking those notes at a speed that you can't even see his picking hand.
And you can barely hear
um,
them.
yeah,
Barely hear apart. Yeah.
yeah. But then later on, like after Gilmore and Knopfler, and I got into more of the soulful style of guitar. That is what kind of pulled me towards guitar. So I have made peace with it. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna focus on what I can play. There are some times where I'm like, I do want to play something, in my mind. I'm like, okay, if I was able to do this at this point in the song, it would take it to another level. But I keep trying, I can't do it because what's playing in my mind, my fingers don't move like that.
Sure.
So there are times like that. I feel bummed out when that happens, but at the same time, I have learned to play within my limitations, and I'm just happy and humbled, to be honest, that there's anyone out there who is willing to listen to what I am producing. Because so after I started learning the guitar a little bit, the point at which I figured that okay, I can make my own music, or I should make my own music, is when I found some backing tracks on YouTube. So you just have to Google, guitar backing track YouTube, and you'll find like thousands of videos. So I just clicked play on one, and I started soloing over it. So I had learned a little bit of theory that okay, if there's a song in this key, what does that mean? How would you approach a solo if the song is in this key? So I learned a little bit of theory when I started, and I just started like noodling around, just playing with it while the backing track is playing. And I think after a couple of times, I was like, you know what? I think I can compose a solo right now.
Yeah. I can do
Like
this.
like I can phrase the solo, right? And that's when I started getting into that. So that was my practice at that point. At that point, I dropped all other practice, sitting there and metronome or anything. I dropped all of that. I just started playing along with backing tracks, just improvising, just doing whatever. And a few weeks later, I think I was like, okay, how can I make my own backing track now? And that is when the other side of my journey started, where I'm like, okay, now I got to learn how to make my own music so I can solo over it.
Right.
And even at that point, like making my own music and putting it out there was not even on the horizon.
Okay.
I was just like, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to, listen to it a few times, send it to a few friends and see what they think. And that's it. But that once I got into that, and that was like, oh my God, that was like a rabbit hole, music production. You start learning all of that stuff. there's like thousands of plugins. There's never enough plugins for you. There's never enough virtual instruments for you to play on the MIDI keyboard, and it's endless. So, but that taught me so many things. And then once I made a couple of songs on that, I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready. I think I'm gonna put this out there. And Algo, I
To the
swear, I
public.
tell you, the recency bias
Yeah.
and the bias of something that you made yourself, it is so strong. Because now when I listen to some of those songs that I made like early on, I'm like, how the heck did I think that this is ready to be put out in the world?
Yeah.
But it's that's how you learn, right? That I made it. I really give a shout out to some of my friends who gave me honest feedback. So I have like a couple of friends who are really good musicians, um, and they gave me good feedback on it. My first track that I ever made, Algo, this is the funniest part. The first one I ever made. So I got it ready and everything, and my friend was over for dinner. So him and his family were over. So I'm like, yo, come, I gotta play something for you. He knew that I was learning,
Sure.
and that I was getting into it, but he didn't know that I actually had a song ready. So I played that song for him, and he listens to it, and he's just sitting there listening. And he's one of my oldest childhood friends, so we're very frank with each other.
Right.
So he's listening, and he says, "Yo, this is actually very good." I'm like, "Bro, you mean it?" He's like, "Yeah, but there's no bass on this. Like, there's no bass track. Like, didn't you like write a bass track?" I'm like, "No, but isn't the kick drum like enough for the bass?" And he's like, "No, bro, there has to be a bass track." I'm like, actually, yeah, now that I think about it. And then I played a few songs, and then I realized, not mine, like I just played some random songs on YouTube, and then I listened to it, and I'm like, holy smokes, yes. Because when I made the song, I was feeling that something is missing, obviously, because there's only a few elements, right? Just a drum machine, but that is when he mentioned that, I'm like, holy shit, you're right. So then I got into that, and then I was like, okay, now I got to learn all the elements that are in a song. It's
Make it
not,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't pick that up. You don't pick that up when you're not looking for it.
Right.
So it's just been but from that day to now, I see people listening to my music, sharing it around, even buying it. It's just I don't have words for it because of my beginnings. Where I had put my guitar in the corner and never even touched it for
For
like
3
3
years.
years.
Yeah. No kidding. Gave
Yeah.
up on it.
So yeah.
Well, no, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of some of these conversations is, yeah, COVID was a horrible thing for most societies and most
Yeah.
people, but there's something fantastic that came out of it for you
Absolutely.
and for your audience. I mean, everybody that gets to hear you. I've been to your streams, and of course, you're a fan favorite of the ladies. But he is married, by the way, women. But people like to be there because of your energy, and we wouldn't know you without COVID, probably. Probably would
Pretty
have stayed on
much.
the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Probably would have got a bigger house, and then you would have stayed more hours, and all
Yeah.
these things we do in life. And this little detour clearly led you to your passion. And I was going to mention this in the intro because we're not doing intro tonight, but you're not just a guitarist, you're a writer, a producer, you're a lyricist, you sing on some of your tracks.
Some
I
of
mean,
them.
yeah, and I know more people want more, but I totally get it. But that journey that you're on, I can hear the passion that you of producing music, making the whole thing. And it hits you in a place. And that's what I want to share with people, that it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if your fingers are broken and you don't have 5 on the fret. I mean, you worked it out to where it works for you and you can produce what you want to produce.
Absolutely, 100%. It's if you put your mind to, and this is Algo. This is what I say, and I've been saying for years. And some of the Bensters make fun of me. They're like, yeah, right. But it's true. I have always said and believe this, that if I can learn the guitar and if I can play whatever I play on the guitar, anyone can play. Trust me, it's not rocket science what I play. I'm not a Hetriani, like shredding and doing all that stuff. What I play is simple stuff, and anyone can play it. So if anyone takes away this from knowing me, that they get inspired and they're like, you know what, okay, 15 did it, so I'm just gonna get into it as well, and let's see how it goes. Like, that would be amazing, because it's yes, you need passion. You just do it if you're passionate about it. Don't do it for any other reason. If you're passionate about it, just get into it. That's how my personality is, like that as well. Like, some people say it's like, OCD. It's like you're obsessive. You when you're focused on one thing, then you just go all in. I am like that, I know, but that, for me, it has its downsides as well. But it has it's shaped who I am, and it is part of me. I can't do anything that I enjoy, like, half-assed, and just
Right.
put a little bit of energy, and then you're like, I don't want to do it anymore, whatever. Even when I started, like, my friend, that friend I was mentioning to you, when I went to buy an amp um with him, he was like, bro, why are you doing this? Like, we know you're gonna probably give up on this. Are you really that interested in this? Because I was always into, like, sports and stuff, or gaming. So he was like, are you really into this? Like, are you gonna stay on this forever? Like, or for at least 5 years? I'm like, bro, I think I'm in. I've got the bug. I don't think I can beat it now.
Right.
So that's just how I've been. And passion is, like, life without passion. Like, what's the point? If you are not passionate about anything. And I actually have dealt with a lot of my friends who, sometimes we sit down and they're like, they give me a lot of shout outs because of this. They're like, man, you know what, you have always found something in each phase of your life that you're passionate about, and you just, like, enjoy it, and it's amazing to see. And we kind of envy you, because for a lot of us, we don't know what we're passionate about. Like, what is that thing that drives us? Like, we're just in the 9 to 5, and the usual stuff.
Right.
So my advice always has been, man, just go into, if you want to find your passion, you have to try different things, but you have to try them for the right reasons, right? And, like, not because, oh, I want to do this just so that I can achieve this other goal. Like, just dive into it just for the heck of it, just because you enjoy it. That should be enough reason.
Yeah, and if you really do, it'll bring that passion out of you, right?
Absolutely. And it will bring all those other things that people chase. It will bring those things as well, most likely, because when you try and chase success, you want to succeed in something, but you're not passionate about it. That success is gonna, once you get it, it's gonna feel very hollow. You're not gonna be. It's gonna be like, man, what did I spend the last 10 years doing? Yeah, I got this, but it's not something that satisfies me or fulfills me. So I don't know. It's just, for me, like, my albums that I sold,
Mhm.
yeah, they're not like multi-platinum albums or whatever. But for me, even hitting those numbers, like, I'm just like, man, like, this is way more than I could have ever imagined when I started putting my music out there, right? So it's like, just enjoy the journey.
And isn't that, I mean, that's a sense of fulfillment, right?
100%. And it's like, it's fulfillment that came out of nowhere, because this was never on the horizon for me.
Yeah.
I had never chased that. Like, when I picked up the guitar, yes, initially it was just to kill time, but within a week I was like, okay, this is not going to be just killing time, because I've always wanted to learn, and
Mhm.
I'm seeing progress with learning. So that was it. Within 1 or 2 weeks, I was like, that's it. I'm going to learn this.
Nice.
So
Well, I
yeah.
tell you, the YouTube independent community and people who like indie music are better for it. So, I mean, we all thank
Mm.
you for that.
Well, thank you, because without the listeners, so this is one thing I have, when I started putting my music out there, I so before I so just a bit of background. As I mentioned, that when my friends used to come here, I used to play music in the background, right? So I have always been the go-to guy to pick music
Okay.
for the night, when there's a get together or whatever, right? I've always been that guy. So my taste in music is something that people used to, like, a lot of people, most people used to enjoy listening to as well. So for me, it was always that I have to, um, pick the song. I have to be the one who takes that step and chooses the song that I want to play. And from there, I think that kind of translated into this as well, where it's like, I want to play something and see the reaction on people's faces. So before I used to play a song, somebody else's song, and I used to see people's reaction when somebody else would say, "Yo, that's a freaking dope song." I used to be like, "Man, you know what? I introduced this person to this song. I like this song." So it's like
Right.
this person respects my choice or my taste in music, right? So when I started making music, I was like, you know what? I want to make something that I enjoy, and hopefully others are going to enjoy listening to it as well. And that's why the roller coaster stream that I do, I enjoy just seeing the chat go crazy when I play a song that they haven't heard, but I know that they're going to enjoy. Like the last stream, I don't know if you were there, Algo, but in the last stream I played like a couple of songs and the chat just freaking lost it, right? So that was so much fun. I was so pumped after the stream. So
Right.
for me, sharing music has always been this one big driver in everything, like sharing music, or even like watching, like introducing a friend to a good movie with a good plot twist. And then
Sure.
when they call me after the plot twist, they're like, "Yo, what the fuck happened?" And I'm just like, right. So I enjoy those experiences with other people.
That's because you
So when
love
I
people.
well,
Overall, on the
well,
aggregate, you want to make them
yeah,
happy. You want them to
y-
enjoy their lives.
yes, most people. I love most people.
Yeah.
I'll say that. So when I wanted to share my music, I didn't want it to be like, I just put the music out there, nobody listens to it with me. Like I wanted it to be listened to by other people, because some people say, "Oh, I just make music for myself."
Mhm.
Okay, you just make music for yourself, then why are you sharing it on YouTube if it's just for yourself? You see,
Right.
it doesn't add up. So for me, I've never been shy about saying that. No, I make music, yes, because I enjoy doing it, but I make it for the listeners as well. Like otherwise I wouldn't put it on YouTube. I would just like play here by myself and that's it. Put the guitar back and be done with it.
Right.
So for me, if the people enjoy it, that the energy that gives me, nothing else drives my passion more than that. So long story short, thank you and all the Bencers and all the listeners who listened to it. Because if it wasn't for you guys, and I said this to you in one of the live streams as well,
You did.
remember?
Yeah.
Yes.
Called
So
me out
because
on that.
yeah, no, without you people taking out the time to listen to artists or listen to our music, I at least I wouldn't be able to go on. If I put out a song and nobody listened to it, then I'd be like, okay, why am I putting it out there?
Yeah.
It won't make sense. So thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Which leads me to I want to play one of your older songs.
Oh man, older
No,
ones.
I listened to it a couple
Okay, you
days
do.
ago, and
Okay.
I'm listening, and I'm listening to your elements, and I'm like, I can hear a lot of what I still hear. It's more refined, but it wasn't like a 5-year-old drawing then you show him his 18-year-old drawing and say, okay, here's the difference. It wasn't like that at all. It was I was impressed. So if you don't want me to, I won't. But if you'll indulge,
No, of course. Go for it.
okay.
Go for it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pull this up. We're gonna listen to this for a moment, and then we will be right back.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, this one. Oh, come on. So that was Daydream by 15th Bend.
I was I was looking. I opened my folder up. So this song I composed this in June 2021. So 2020 March, end of March was when I picked up the guitar, and 2021 April, I believe, is when I made my first song, Revived. Then I made another one, so this was my third one.
Okay.
And you can tell, I had, so this was the thing with music production. It's because it's not just composing one element of a song, like just the guitar. No, then you have to come up with the chord progression and everything in the back. Then you have to use synth sounds. I use a lot of synth, right? So um, then you lay those out, you layer them up, and then you have to mix and master. At that point, I didn't even know what mix and master means. I just thought it just means just change the volume for different elements, right? Nothing about frequencies or compression, anything, nothing. So I'm still learning. I'm still learning. I still don't feel like I'm there where I want to be when it comes to mixing and mastering. It's just, there's so many hats to wear when you start making your own music. It's yeah, it's pretty taxing when I think
Oh.
about it some days.
I'm sure, big project, and then you get into it and you start to get excited about it, and then you forget about how hard it is.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
A little more
Until you have to market it,
wow.
until you have to market the release and everything, then it's like, all right, I gotta pester these people again, set a premiere, share the link, and ask them to share, and then just that part is it's very draining. But the Bensters helped me with that, so shout out to the Bensters.
Shout out Bensters.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about decentralization, and let's talk about AI music. It seems that you're doing the job of what a record company used to do for an artist. They would hire a producer, they would hire a mixer, they would hire a writer, they would hire other musicians, and they would come in and they would put together an album or a song. Well, an album typically was the
Yeah.
goal. And then if they could get a good single or two out of it, then they were going to tour, and that's where they were going to recoup their investment.
Yes.
So now we have decentralization through technology, which has been pretty amazing,
Yep.
to where you're doing that by yourself, for yourself. Do you see it being able to continue and get better for artists like you? Or is it going to, or is there a wall of saturation where people just drop out because they don't either get recognition or they think they're supposed to get more money for it or whatever's going on, which even happened to record companies, right?
Yep.
We have the famous one-hit wonder bands of all time. Like
Yeah.
how many hundreds of bands have one song that was a single that the A&R guy pushed and everybody knows it, but they never worked again. So
Yeah.
tell me what you think about decentralization, and also if you want to get into it, I'm really curious your thoughts on AI music and where that's going.
Okay, so decentralization, I'm someone who benefited from it. So I can't sit here and say no, it's not good. The good old days, the way things were, they were really nice, and I can't say that. I do feel decentralization of music and the technology and everything. It has helped way more people access music production and getting their music out there, and than it would have if it stayed just in the hands of a few labels, or you just needed to rent a studio. If you're already struggling and now you got to somehow save up 5-10 grand for a studio session, for an album or whatever, like, I think those are real big roadblocks compared to now. At the same time, what that has led to is, as you said, the wall of saturation. I think there's the last number I saw, and I don't know what the latest is, But Spotify, I think, announced that there's like 60,000 songs a day that drop onto their platform. Some ridiculous number. I forget if it's 60,000 a day or a month, but it's ridiculous, the amount of songs that are being made and being, blasted all over the internet. So obviously, once that happens, then all those people who used to make money, those the big labels, they're like, okay, how can we manipulate this somehow to our advantage? So a lot of the labels, they spend a lot of money on promotion for their artists, for their signed artists, and they're gonna make it to the big playlists. The small indie ones, they're not even going to be considered most of the time.
Right.
I'm not saying this as someone, because I'm salty that my music didn't get pushed like those, but it's
No,
it's
you're-
it's a fact. It's a fact. Like a lot of indie musicians, this is one of their pet peeves. That, man, all the major playlists, like they're all like major artists with the big labels. So
Right.
what do we do? For me, it's like, okay, so it's a catch-22, right? I would rather have access to making my own music, sitting in the comfort of my home. Like I prefer that rather than having to, suck up to labels, try and get signed up with a label, and then, get into that side of things.
Right.
But this is the downside of it. This comfort that I have, this independence that I have of when I want to release some music, what type of song I want to make, where nobody's telling me, no, you should do this, you should do that, you can't release this right now, you have to release this at this point. Like the price of that freedom is that I will obviously not have the same exposure that a signed artist will.
Right.
So it's like you have to kind of pick your battles, right? Like what battle would you like? What is your end goal? My end goal, as I mentioned, for me, when I started this journey, my end goal never was, oh, I want to be a rock star playing, on sold out stadiums or anything. Uh, to be honest, my personality, and everything in my life, like my family and everything, my work, I cannot see myself being like, okay, you know what, guys, I'm going to be on tour 6 months. See you later. I have to
Yeah.
do this. I can't see that happening. So for me, my end goal was never that. My end goal, to be honest, like this is one of those things where I have never had like an end goal. I sometimes think about it and I'm like, man, like what the fuck? Like in everything in life, I've always had a goal that, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to achieve in the long term. And I don't have any for this.
Nice.
So is that a bad thing?
No,
And
that's-
I have, yeah, I know. I have those conversations with myself sometimes,
Sure. You're an
That
engineer, dude.
yeah, exactly. So I'm like,
You're
is this
wired
the thing? Yeah, I'm like, is this the thing that's holding me back from getting to the next level, like where my
By not
music
having a
is?
goal.
Uh,
Okay.
d-
Yeah,
but
I can see
yeah,
that. Mental
so
thought.
yeah, it's a thought, right? But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? If I set a goal, then I'm gonna be stressed about it. Then I'm gonna be, it's gonna be something that adds a certain anxiety to the whole experience, because when that goal is not being achieved, I'm going to feel sad, I'm going to feel anxious and all that. So why taint this
Nice.
beautiful thing with that? I do set short-term goals for myself though. Like I can't be completely goal free. Like if I am making an album or a song, I want to have a goal that, okay, this many songs, I have to get it ready by this time so that I have time to release it and everything. Those types of goals I set. Long term, not really. So coming back to your question, yes, decentralization has its advantages 100%, but at the same time it has its downside as well. And right now, people, like, getting your music discovered right now,
Hard.
it's
Very
like,
hard.
oh, like I see brilliant musicians having to put the camera there and then do some silly TikTok dance just to get attention from like
Right.
people, just so that they can drive that audience that stayed on their video because of their funny dance or whatever to go and listen to their music. So I mean, now artists are being led to do those types of things, which is
So,
sad.
yeah, I'm guessing that's probably not in your future.
So I what I try is try putting my music in the background of a video that I wanted to share anyway. Like something motivational. If there's a quote that I like or something, then I'll just add it to a story. I'll add my music on top. That okay, maybe if somebody comes across this quote or something, or this reel, and they might get curious. Okay, this song that's playing in the background, what song? I'm like that. I have Shazam in my phone on my homepage, my front
Right.
like main screen. Like if I'm ever in a restaurant or anywhere, and if I hear a tune that I like, immediately my phone comes out, and I'm
What
like,
the
"What
heck
song
is
is
it?
that?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to listen to it, right? But not a lot of people are like that, so that's fine. Um,
Well, that's a cool strategy, though.
yeah,
On
yeah.
your part. That
I'm
is.
trying. I'm trying. Like it is what it is. As far as your other question, that's a loaded question, the AI music one, because
It's
so
a broad, deep question.
it's
There's a
it is.
lot we can talk about with AI.
There's a lot, and I have brought up AI music on my streams quite a few times. I'm sure you were there in a couple of those when I was talking about it as well. Because it's like, look, I don't want to be the one who's gatekeeping other people from using a tool that they believe is helping them express themselves, right?
Right.
Because if people want to gatekeep me, and I have had this actually happen to me. This one guy, he used to frequent my channel, and then he just completely disappeared. And I figured why, because he sent me a long ass email about, because this guy was one of those multi instrumentalist musicians, right?
Yeah.
Very
He
good musician, very
sings
good
well,
musician.
plays
Yeah,
everything.
like plays everything, right? And records everything, individually. Instead of like me, who uses a MIDI keyboard, and I compose the sound of a flute on the keyboard, and I play it on the keyboard, right?
Right.
So when he sent me an email, he was like, he had that tone, like, man, like,
Dude.
you're not a
Come
real
on.
musician and all that stuff, right? So I get it. I get it. Like, he is salty because he probably spent his whole life, learning all these instruments, and here I am, or other people are, where we are making those same sounds of instruments using one instrument,
Right.
or I'm playing the guitar, um, but I don't have like a whole pedal board and like all this other stuff where I'm hooking it up and then recording it into a mic and everything. Like,
Yeah.
but there's no limit to gatekeeping. That's what I'm trying to get at. Because then
Right.
people can gatekeep him as well. That, oh well, you're lucky, you're recording everything in your home. We didn't have the money to have our own instruments, so we used to go and rent it at the studio, and we used to make it that we're the real, like, badass musicians. Like, we deserve more credit than you. It's never ending. So I don't want to come across as a gatekeeper when it comes to someone who's using AI to make music. However, there is a difference between those examples that I gave you and AI, which is
Sure.
blatant. Um, AI music is not something. Yeah, you probably gave it a prompt that, oh, I want it to be like this and this, and but the composition and everything that's happening, that's, you're not composing it. Because people come and say, oh, I make music, and we ask them, okay, how, like, what do you do, how do you make it? They're like, oh, I just make it through Suno, but I told it what type of song I want. Like,
Right.
sure, I get it, like, you feel like you had some input into it, but it's not the same. It's like AI music is basically trained on all other music
Hmm.
in the world, and then it just like mashes it up together and puts it out there. But at the same time, there's a counter argument to that as well. People are like, well, aren't all musicians inspired by all the music they've heard?
Sure.
So you didn't become a musician in a vacuum. You became a musician because you were inspired and you had listened to all these other artists. So I get that. But the difference between being inspired and pretty much, taking someone's music and just mashing it together. So it's a gray area,
Okay.
right? Some people are like very strict about it. They're like, nope, this is stealing other artists' music. That's it. You're done. And I understand that point of view as well. But at the same time, when someone says, man, you know what, I've never played an instrument in my life, or there's some people who have had like really serious injuries, they can't play an instrument,
Yeah.
and they're like, but I've always wanted to, I have these lyrics in my mind, I have these poems that I wrote, I want to put them in a song, in a different art form than just being a poem.
Right.
So that's why I put these lyrics in there, and I just made asked Suno to make it for me. So am I gonna go and shit on this person for doing that? No, I can't. They're using whatever tool they have to express themselves.
Right.
So I'm kind of on the fence. But my only request is like in my music stream, for example. Now I play other artists, like most of them are in my chat at that time. I play their music. I play other independent artists' music. At that time, when someone comes and says, "Oh, play my AI music, AI generated music," I feel like it's an insult to all the musicians.
Sure.
That's how I look at it, and I have actually received some feedback from some people as well when I did make an exception where I played
Yeah.
some AI music. I did get some emails and messages that, "Yo, 15, what are you doing? Like, fuck AI music, and why are you playing that?" And I get it. I get it. So that's why I'm like, okay, not in my stream at least, please. I can't play that.
But you're not a hater.
I'm not a hate. I can't hate someone for using something like I will hate someone who uses AI music and then lies to me that, "Oh, I composed this, I made this," but actually they used AI. That person deserves hate because just be upfront about it.
Yeah.
But the same can be said about people who have. I've dealt with people like this who have ripped backing tracks off of YouTube from famous channels, like the audacity some people have, like just basically downloaded that audio, dropped it in their DAW, and played the guitar over it, and then posted that as a whole song and said, "Oh, I composed this whole piece," right?
Yeah.
Only for Shazam, by the way, only for Shazam to show me, because somebody told me, "Yo, I'm a bit sus, about this guy. He's there's something off." So I Shazammed it, and lo and behold, the Shazam told me that it was identified it as a different song. I went and checked that song, and yep, the backing track was ripped off. So those people, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be a hater. I'm sorry. Like if you're lying to me about creating a song when you didn't create it, that's shitty, right? But if people are just using it as a tool just for fun, what can I say? What can I say? It's already an uphill battle for independent musicians as it is. This is just another this is just another nail in the coffin. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
Because the YouTube algorithm is pushing AI music like crazy as well. My homepage, I opened up the homepage. It's like 100,000 views we uploaded 2 days ago, and I'm like, holy smokes, this must be a big artist. I click on it, it's AI.
Yeah.
And there's like those people that they're uploading a song every freaking day, or they're uploading an album a week. So imagine the amount of AI music that's being dropped onto these platforms. So our music is gonna get buried even more. So what's hating gonna get me? I can sit and be bitter and hateful about it. What is that gonna get me? I just gotta focus on making my own music and hope that people like yourself and other Bensers, they just share it around and more people get to hear it.
Right on. So what's interesting, that's valid. And what I'm hearing is, so you can order out and get delivery to your house, or you can go to the supermarket and you can buy, noodles in a box and pasta sauce in a box and a ground beef and make spaghetti. Or you can make the noodles from scratch. You can make the sauce from tomatoes, and you can, kill the cow. And so they're just different approaches. I think super valid is when they own something that's not theirs. And this used to always bother me when bands in the late 90s to mid 2000s were sampling from bands in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so I would hear a new song and I'd be like, wait a minute. I know that from someplace else.
Yeah.
And they're labeled bands, famous on the radio, going on tour, and they're taking music that somebody else created and they're putting it in their song. And I used to bristle at that so hard, because I'm like, come on, that's not this. And as the society's evolved with AI and things like that, I still hold on to that a little bit. But as you say, if that's the best way a person can express themselves, who am I to call them otherwise?
Yeah, exactly. It's like 100%. Like what else? What else can I say? I don't like to tell people, like, because if somebody is creating it and then they're sharing it with you, right? It's like, okay, this is something that they feel some sort of pride in because maybe they wrote the lyrics for it, or maybe they gave some input to it. Um, I I feel like bad, like being like, man, get the fuck out of here with this AI music. I'm like,
Right.
I do express to them that, oh, this is AI music. Okay, okay. I do like have this level that, okay, I'm not gonna go all out praising it, because at the end of the day, and I've said this as well, like as human, I get impressed by other humans when they do something which is, at a level where I feel like I can never get, like athletes, for example.
Sure. Yeah.
When I see pro athletes do things on the field, which I am just like, because I run, I can tell, okay, this person is running at a much much faster speed and for much much longer than I can,
Yeah.
even if I practice a lot. So respect, right? Humans should get impressed by other humans, not by machines, because machines, yeah, a machine is impressive, but it's like, how does that, how do you relate to it? I can't relate to it.
Fair. And
um
I think music is where the place where it's a very polarizing to talk about AI,
yeah,
partially because it's an art form.
exactly.
Music is an art form, and even AI graphics and paintings and things like that. When I hear
Yeah,
an AI song and somebody wrote the lyrics and they found the key they wanted and they found the change ups they wanted, and they put it all in there, and it's a prompt that took them 6 hours to write, and then the song came out in a certain way, that's even a different level than somebody that says, "Hey, make it sound like Billy Joel and make it do
yes,
this,"
yeah.
and so and I think as all of this technology evolves, for me, I try to refine my opinion of it. I don't want to be dogmatic about stuff like that, but
I
I
I I
you
hear
know,
you. Yeah. No, so look, so I used to get a lot of hate for using AI artwork in my videos and stuff, right? That I used to put on YouTube.
really,
But I've been very transparent about it from the beginning.
yeah,
That the videos that I am putting together for my songs, they are just there to accompany, because YouTube is a visual medium.
right,
It's not Spotify where you're just like listening to the audio and that's it. Because it's visual, so I ran out of all the royalty free samples on Pixabay, and
yeah,
then I got a copyright claim of on a royalty free clip at one point.
wow,
Right? Yeah. So once my video hit, like, I think 3 or 4 thousand views, it got a copyright claim, and I was like, "What the heck? Like, this was a royalty free clip." And then I was just like, "Man, this is a shady shit." Right? So
yeah,
at that time, AI artwork was starting. So I was like, "Okay, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna
make your own,
splice a few clips and just drop them in." But even then, I never, to this day, have never gone and boasted about but the videos I make, because even though I put a lot of time in editing the videos, I never boast about them. That, oh, check this video, check my video. Like, never, because it's AI generated. The clips are AI generated.
sure,
So I am not gonna take credit for, oh, do you see how close of an eye to detail I have over here? And I'm just not. I don't do it,
yeah,
because I feel that, okay, you know what? Like, this is just to accompany my music. This is not the main focus of what I want to do. At one point, I even got in touch with a lot of people on Fiverr, to do some videos for me. That was a disaster as well, because I got scammed a couple of times. And then this one time, this one person said, okay, half the fee upfront, half the fee afterwards. He charged me like $500 or something. And I swear the video he sent me, he only sent me like a preview of what he was working on, and it was just terrible. And I was just like, man, let's just cancel it. So he's like, well, okay, you already paid half. I'm gonna keep that. I'm like, bro, like, you didn't put that much time into this. Come on.
right,
He's like, no, I did. I'm like, all right. So I lost like $250 on that. So
yeah,
after that, after doing all those things, then I went and started doing this, just because it gave me the independence, honestly, where I'm not relying on other people, waiting on other people, getting scammed. I can just, get this artwork from like these websites that already have a lot of artwork generated, and I can just like tweak it around now and just drop it together, just have something to look at while you're listening to my music. So, but the key difference is whenever I do generate anything, any images using it, I never say in the style of this, and this. I never do that.
Yeah.
Just because for me that seems like, okay, now I'm openly telling AI to plagiarize somebody else's, if I don't know who AI is getting it from, I feel less guilty. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it's more authentic.
Yeah,
right?
it's just
I think.
it's not my it's not my desired way of getting visuals for my stuff. And whenever I have actually found someone who's willing to make something for me, I've paid them and I've got it. So like my cover art for like my previous albums, the previous two albums, like I work with real artists to get it. But that's because I was lucky that those people walked into my life at that point when I was looking for artwork.
Right.
Otherwise it's really challenging to get into them. But hopefully someday I find someone who becomes my go-to person, right? And then it just becomes smoother. But coming back to the point, if I start going into, say, some visual artist live stream, or somebody who's a painter or like sketch artist, I start going into their live stream, and I send my videos to them and say, "Yo, check this video. I made this video." Then that's kind of like that for me. It's like, man, like that would be a pretty asshole-ish thing to do.
Sure,
so
yeah.
so I don't do that. I would never do that. So it's just, this is just like my on the side, whatever, just something to look at on YouTube. But yeah, but that's why, like, and I got hate for it. I did get a lot of hate for it. Some people are just like, we are not going to click on 15 Ben's music because he uses AI. I'm like, all right, whatever, like it is what it is. You can't make everyone happy. So
Ever. Never,
Yeah.
ever. Well, and I think that your videos are enjoyable. Generally speaking, they enhance your music to a little bit because we are visual creatures and we're on a visual medium. And
Yeah.
when you're telling a story, which some of your most impactful songs to me, or your music to me, is always the really depressing shit. It is.
I know.
It hits that place in me where I've been,
Yeah.
and I, for a moment, I'm there and I hear it, and then the visual adds to it to a point. I appreciate the fact that you don't claim that it's anything other than what it is. You just tell them
Yeah.
what it is. But for
Yeah.
people that don't create content, editing is horrible and it takes forever.
Yeah.
And it's so hard. And it's not hard, but it's arduous.
It is.
And it's like, oh man, there are 1,000 videos I want to make, but I don't have 40 hours to edit them. So
Yeah.
I respect and appreciate that you even do that, because you could pop your logo up, play your song, and be done.
Yep, 100%. And also, I'll go like one more aspect of my music is because most of it, 90% of it is instrumental music. So for me, like everyone perceives, like when there's no lyrics, everyone is going to perceive instrumental music differently, right?
Right.
The reason I put a video for it is so that I can at least express how or what was going through in my mind when I was composing this,
Nice.
so that people get an idea. Okay, so this is what 15, this is the message of the song.
Yeah.
Like Lost, for example. When I made it the first time, so that was related to a personal tragedy, loss of a friend.
Mhm.
And that was in my mind when I actually composed it back in I think it was 2021 as well. And now when I remade it, I changed the video. I made a whole new video, and I remade the song as well. I remixed it, I extended it as well. But now it was more focused on some current events that are going on in the
Gotcha.
world.
Mhm.
And in a sense, both those scenarios fit, the word loss. And the music, like if I didn't put any of those visuals either time, when I made the song, yes, people would relate to it in their own way, and people still do when they listen to it. They think of someone they lost, or something like that. So I feel like the only plus point of the videos I make is because instrumental music, sometimes you don't know what the artist was thinking about when they made this. So that's
Right.
more of the reason why I even do it and go through that painstaking process. But I enjoy it. Honestly, I enjoy it. So it's just, as you said, it's arduous. It takes a bit of time. Sometimes the software bugs you at the worst possible time. But at the end of the day, if people enjoy what they're watching while they're listening to my music, then that's the price I am willing to pay.
There you go.
Yep.
Spoken like an artist. Speaking of, that was actually the second song I had pulled up to
Oh,
share with everybody tonight.
all right.
How
Let's
about
go on.
yeah, let's
Yes.
go on this, and then if you're up for it, we'll have some conversation about it, because I think it's a very important part of the human experience that we're dealing with right now.
Yes.
And it doesn't get talked about. It usually gets talked about either in a very angry way or in a very corporate, this is what we have to do way.
Yep.
And the human element often gets left out. So
Yep. Absolutely.
let's do this, friend. So
Yes.
that is a very powerful song. Very powerful imagery. I do remember a few weeks back when you first put it on your stream, there were many, many cry emojis in the chat.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
It's a powerful one. Yeah, I agree.
all the banter stopped. All the hi, welcome, good to see you. Whoever quit, it all stopped. Everybody was focused on it. And it was, to my knowledge, and I didn't go through every one of your 78 releases on YouTube, which is a boatload, by the way.
It is.
People can spend a lot of time just listening, put it on shuffle and go through. But to me, I mean, I think it's probably the only really topical one.
This one, and Red as well.
Okay,
Red has the same theme that we all bleed red. So it's like stop these wars, and it's about that as well.
got it. So something clearly on your heart.
Yes, it is. I think once I became a parent, and actually even before that, if I'm honest, it's when I still remember clearly where I was when. Not to get too political with this, but I'll try and stay as surface level as I can with
Dude,
this.
you get
But
as political as you want.
I know, but I don't know if a lot of people might not like my political views, but that's okay.
Yeah. fair enough.
I clearly remember where I was when 9/11 happened. I think in my lifetime, maybe in yours as well. 9/11 was like the defining moment, whereas the world was never the same after that.
Very pivotal.
Very pivotal, right? And when it happened, um, I was a teenager, and it happened, and I still remember the how the air was heavy, all over the world, because
Yeah.
what happened after that, in the other side of the world, um, it was something that the world is still dealing with the aftermath of what happened, right?
Yep.
Um, and in a lot of countries on that side of the world, it led to the birth of a lot of these resistance groups or terrorist groups or whatever you want to call it, and then that spread out to other neighboring countries, and it caused like absolute chaos and mayhem. um so for me, it's like, okay, growing up watching Rambo and stuff, you glorify war, and it's like, yeah, like, let's go to war, and we have like a hero who's going to come in and do all this, and be the good guy. And the more I grew up, I realized that most of life is not black and white. Most of life is in the gray area, right?
And like
Now a lot of the yeah, and a lot of the soldiers, uh people who have actually gone to war, if you ever get their opinion on these things, it is much more real than some numbnut sitting, on his keyboard and saying, "Yeah, let's go to war." Yeah, we have to go and do this and that. Or even these politicians who send other people's kids to war just for their own profits.
right.
If you actually speak with someone who's been in it and suffered through it, or in some cases caused suffering and later regretted it once they got back, and they're like, "Holy shit, like, what did I do?"
Yeah.
It changes you as a person. If you're smart, even a little bit smart, and you speak with someone who's been in it, I can't see how it won't affect you to the point where you're going to be like, man, as the quote that I shared in there, like, I just find war detestable completely. And yes, sometimes it's necessary. There's no question about it. I'm not like there should never be any war and the world is, unicorns farting rainbows and stuff. No, there's some times where it becomes absolutely necessary. Um, However, I do feel like a lot of wars that I've seen in my lifetime, and if you read history, most of the wars were just for ulterior motives, big corporations, politicians wanting to make more money, wanting to steal resources. That's how it's been. And it's not unique to the US or the West or the East. I think that's just how humanity has been for centuries. For me, I'm just like, I'm so done with it. I'm so done with it. I can't wrap my head around how anyone can glorify this. Like, last year we lost a friend of the community, Wolf 7 Music, Michael
No,
Lantier.
I know that's
He's a war veteran,
yeah.
and we lost him to PTSD eventually, right? And him and I, whenever we used to talk about this, he was so anti-war, and he'd been to, like, I think Iraq and Afghanistan, so
Yeah.
he had been to both. And he was just like the absolute hatred for the things that he had to do over there, and the governments on both sides.
Sure.
So I'm just like, it's for me, it's I just don't I will never understand how people, uh, because it's not just the politicians' fault. At the end of the day, it's all the people are to blame as well, who glorify this and who support it like blindly. That, oh yeah, we got to go and kill those guys. And at the end of the day, honestly, from what I've seen, from what I've experienced, and from what I've known, on both sides of any war, 99% of the people, if you put them together, they would coexist very peacefully.
Totally fine.
They wouldn't have any issues with each other. They would, sit and eat at the same table and not have any issues. Yeah, there might be some dietary restrictions, but that's about it, right? But
Right,
this
fair.
1% on both sides, it creates this fucking chaos. And at the end of the day, the biggest victims are those 99%. These people are not the victims, the ones who instigate and start this war, right?
At all.
And
They
yeah,
profit.
at all. Exactly. They
benefit
profit
from
from it. They profit from it, and then a huge percentage is just like sheep's. Like, it's sheep. They have no critical thinking skills.
Right.
I think if it's your first war in your lifetime that your government is going for, maybe you can get fooled. I get it.
Yeah.
But if it's the third or fourth time that the same fucking BS is being, the same talking points, same propaganda is being thrown your way, and you fell for it the last time, and the government actually said that, what, we were wrong about that one. Yeah, we shouldn't have done it. But
Right.
even then, you again fall for it. Then what do I say to you? Like, it's that's what makes me lose faith in humanity at times.
Understandable.
Yeah, and the message in this video is basically about those 99%. Like, just normal people just getting along, with their day to day, their own hamster wheel, their own problems, their own life. And wanting to spend time with their kids, wanting to see their kids grow, be happy, be healthy. And then something like this happens, which is not in their control, and all of a sudden, their whole world turns upside down.
Yeah.
And then the aftermath of that is that nothing happens in a vacuum. Once anyone goes and does some stupid shit in another country, the victims, yes, you may have like thousands of victims, but the actual number of victims is hundreds of thousands, because those thousands of victims have family, have friends, have kids, and
Yeah.
those people suffer as well once their loved one is gone. How they're thinking, how their thought process, how their lives change after that, you can't control that. Then there's going to be backlash from there, there's going to be anger, there's going to be all that shit.
Hmm.
So that was kind of the message that I was going for. Like, both sides I showed, like, one Western family, one Eastern family, both dads playing with their sons, having a normal life. And then I kind of depicted that, some catastrophic event happens and both the kids lose their dads.
Yeah. They go kill each
And
other on the battlefield.
and now they grow up with hatred for that other nation or other country or whatever, and they become the victims of that war later on as well, and the cycle just continues. Whereas where the video turns to color, that's kind of like an alternate reality where life could have just been beautiful and simple. Dads carrying their kids, on their shoulders, just walking through a market. Life could have been normal. So that's kind of like what I was going with
Well,
that, because this,
nailed it,
yeah,
dude. You nailed it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Everybody I
Thank you.
know who's seen it, it touched them in a way that they were like, "Whoa, wait a minute."
Yeah,
So,
because
yeah.
this latest war, I made this when this latest war started,
Mhm.
and this war actually was one of those ones that really affected me, because I was like, okay, I think a lot of people here, because they're busy in the bread and circus, they don't look into a lot of this stuff.
Right.
But the actual possibility of how bad this can get if you push Iran into a corner and they start bombing like the Middle East, and they actually start hitting their desalination plants,
Yeah.
and the oil stops from there, because all of Asia, like, I have friends in like that part of the world, like I have friends and family, right? Like, the oil shortages, the gas shortages, like everything that is gonna happen after that, it can cause famine. Like, it's not something that, is just a word that we just casually use. Oh yeah, dealing with famine or whatever. This could cause famine. This would actually cause people to die of starvation.
Right.
You know,
Tens of millions. Tens of
tens
millions.
of millions of people, exactly, not the small number. So for me, it was like, does any of these fucktards realize that this shit show that has started now, based on, like, now we can get into a lot of the nitty gritty of it, like the intelligence reports and everything contradicted everything that was shoved down our throats as being the narrative. Oh, we have to do this because of this. Well, your own intelligence is saying that no, that's not an imminent, reason to do it. But nonetheless, like, is anyone going to stand up and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, end this shit right now before this spirals out of control. Because the after effects are not only going to be in that part of the world, it's going to be here as well. Canada, US, we're going to feel it as well. We're still going to feel it, by the way. Even though today they're saying it ended, we're still going to feel the aftershocks of whatever happened the last few months for at least another year, because the prices and everything are going to stay up. And everything is not going to just fall back to where it was 3 months ago. So it's like economically, people are already struggling, and then you send people to go and die over there, and then you kill like people like the school that got bombed the first day of the war, the second day, and got double tapped. Like, how can anyone be like, yeah? And to be fair, the only positive thing that I saw in out of this whole war that I followed was that at least 70 to 80% of the comments or the narrative or the podcast and everything from the US was like anti-war.
Right.
That was beautiful to see, because I was like, okay, at least a huge percentage of the population has woken up to this shit. They're like, you can't sell us like you sold us the Iraq war. We're not going to believe it this time. This is bullshit.
Right.
So
There's
I'm
hope.
I'm hopeful. I'm still hopeful that sanity is going to prevail. The saner voices are going to prevail, because this is just, it's just loss of life and stolen opportunities from people like that had nothing to do with any of what's going on in the world. They're not the decision makers. They're just normal, common people trying to go day by day, and a narrative is spun and sold to us, and then that's it. We all have to follow like sheep. Otherwise, we are called, "Oh, you're not patriotic enough," or "You're not this." Man, fuck that. Like, I'm so done with that.
Good. No, that's awesome. That's good that I know
Yeah.
you're done with it. I could see that from the video you released, but
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
points that you mentioned, 100% valid from my perspective. I grew up a little bit earlier than you on the heels of the Vietnam War.
Oh wow.
And
Vietnam War. Fuck.
when I was a child, there was a good percentage of they were like adults to me, but I know they were 18 to 25, and they were a disaster. No legs, no arms, homeless everywhere. And so it was very easy for me to always be against war and never for it. And I remember you brought up 9/11. I remember the extreme. I don't like to use the word hate because I really don't hate anybody. But when Toby Keith made his song that was to rally America in 2003 to go kill people in another part of the world over a lie, I was like, that son of a bitch either doesn't know what he's doing because they told him to sing this song, or he knows exactly what he's doing, and then he should burn eternally in hell forever.
Yeah.
And I think we're at this place. The beauty, you summed it up nicely. The beauty that we see now is that so many people have rejected this on its face.
Yeah.
And said, no, you're that's how I feel about the COVID operation too.
Yeah.
Is they said, okay, wait a minute. We thought this, we listened to you, we trusted you, we did this for a while, and now we found out later that you were completely lying and people are dying around me. Who did the right thing, did what they thought was the right thing based on what they were told. So humanity is at this place, in my opinion, where the rest of us are just looking at them like, are you guys really that stupid, or are you really that evil?
Exactly. 100%. So on COVID, my opinion was, after like a little while, my opinion was the whole conspiracy that they're all evil and they're trying to kill us, and this is like a way to reduce the population. I was like, okay, so it's very difficult for me to believe in such true evil at that point. I was like, man, like nobody can be this evil that they want like millions of people's of blood on their hands while they're smiling and saying the exact opposite. Like, people talk about like Hitler and all those people, but those people like openly said, yes, we want to kill everyone and we're going to do it. So these people, I'm like, how can, for me, it just doesn't add up, because I can never bring myself to even thinking like that, right?
Right.
So for me, my other explanation was exactly what you said. Like, I feel like these people that we have in power, they're genuinely stupid.
Yeah.
They have no other skill other than knowing how to win an election, how to fool people into winning an election. And whenever, like, shit hits the fan, when we really need leadership, these people are like, they proved it. They have no idea how to deal with an emergency or deal with anything that really requires leadership.
Right.
It's just all like empty slogans and all that shit. That's all they do. So for me, it was like, yeah, they're a bunch of numbskulls. And then to see these numbskulls lead us and lead the whole world into this chaos that was like those last couple of months, like that strait being closed.
Yeah.
It is really, really serious. It's not a joke.
No.
We're
gonna suffer. We're gonna suffer.
yeah, and people like are sold like these lies, and they start believing that, oh yeah, we don't need their oil. The U.S. produces, we make our own oil. Nah, but you still like import like 6 million barrels or something like that, right? So you need it,
Yeah.
and the oil market is like a global market. It's not something that one country controls the price. So I mean, that's a long discussion, but the point is, people still fall for it. I still see people falling for it and not educating themselves on these things and blindly trusting these numbskulls.
Right.
So that is when I'm just like, man, like, please just read a book, or just look at the person's track record, or not the person, just the government's track record. Like, please, like, but it's, I don't know, but as I said, it's still much better than I think it was 10, 15 years ago. A lot of people now are just like, man, fuck this. And you know what you said about Vietnam?
Mm-hmm.
That is a classic example, because ever since then, I don't know about wars before then, but because a lot of movies were made about Vietnam, but I have noticed this one thing, that those vets, these brave people that are sent to go and do these things on behalf of these people while they sit in their, fucking ivory towers smoking cigars. When these people return, if they return, they're lucky enough to return, they're treated like shit. They're just sidelined by the government. The government doesn't take care of them.
No.
My, like, Wolf in his last few days was homeless.
Right.
That broke my heart. I was like this guy served the country twice. He had, like, I forget if he had a Purple Heart, or he was like a decorated soldier,
Yeah.
and this is how he was treated. So and then when you see that, and after that you see them sending more people, and people being like, yeah, what, let's go, let's do this. I'm just like, man, what are you thinking?
Right.
Like, as a father now, like, I would never allow my son, never, to fall for this, unless obviously war comes to your shores, and now there's, it's do or die. That's a separate thing. That's a war of necessity. That's different. But these, wars for like oil and shit, like, I cannot send my son to do this. I can't.
Good.
I can't glorify it for him.
No, good for you. That's awesome. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of parents, whether their children are young or they're teenagers or their grandchildren or whatever they have,
Yeah,
they're starting to rethink it.
100%.
And I think that's great. And war is it's like the most insane thing that we do. There are more horrific things that people do to
People
individuals.
do. Yeah, but on
Yeah.
a massive scale, on a big scale, I think this is the worst. You're right.
It's insane. It's insanity. And
Yeah.
it's never productive for anybody but the banks and the military contractors
Yeah,
and the developers who are going to pay to go, like Halliburton went back in and rebuilt everything and made all the money.
yeah.
And it's for me, it's kind of like we're either going to grow as a species or we're going to destroy ourselves. And I don't mean that
100%.
in that horrific, nuclear bombs. I think nukes are fake anyway, but in that catastrophic sense, that what's really interesting, and I'm glad you're onto this, because it means you can protect your family later, but most Americans don't know how few crops were planted because we didn't have fertilizer because the strait was closed.
exactly. So
They have
now
no idea.
they have no idea. And for fall, I forget what fall planting season or whatever,
Mhm.
they didn't have enough fertilizer. So there's gonna be really hard times coming in a few months, and
Yeah,
people don't know that.
September until through next year, there's gonna be challenges to get fed in a lot of
Yeah,
places, and it
yeah,
always affects the poorest first.
absolutely.
I hope you're right that they're really just kinda stupid, but I do see intention in some of these people to where I could
Yeah.
call them evil.
Yeah, no, no. What I mentioned was my point of view 4 years ago when COVID, like the aftermath of COVID, was happening, and
Uh-huh.
I couldn't bring myself to believe it. But since then, I think I've started to feel more like what you're saying. It's like, yeah, no, there's pure evil in some. It's not stupidity. You can't just be like, yeah, they're just stupid. No, there's a big element of evil now as well. I agree. I
Yeah,
agree with you.
there's some rotten son of bitches out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's
was r Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, no, go ahead.
I was really big into following this one channel that was totally sharing everything she could find about the trucker convoy up in your neck of the woods.
Mhm.
Every day live streams, and she was on it, and I had a knee injury, so I was sitting home. And so I was immersed in that, and I watched Trudeau. We started calling him Trudeau,
Yeah.
which is I like.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
I watched the progression of the entire thing, and when they got to the place where they couldn't win the minds of anybody, then they just dropped the hammer.
Yeah.
And they said, "Okay, well, guess what? Bank account's frozen, towing
Yep.
trucks, game over." And that is the power of the state, unfortunately. But
Yep. And now
if
it's only getting worse now, Algo. It's like there's certain things you can't even say, you can't criticize, or your life is going to be completely turned upside down. And for me personally, I'm like, okay, like I've lived most of my life already, like, but for my kids, it's like
you can't
it
afford
puts
it,
me, yeah, no, and it puts me in this dilemma. I'm like, okay, so I want certain values that I teach my kids, but if those values clash with what the government has now said to be the moral code of the country or the nation or whatever, they've defined it now, they've changed it, and now this is it. And if you are not aligned with it, you can go to prison, you can lose everything in your life pretty much.
yeah.
How do I instill those values in my kids without worrying that, okay, if I do this and if they go and repeat this outside in front of the wrong person, they're going to be in trouble, and everyone's going to be in trouble. How do you live like that? That's no way of living. If you
No.
as a parent cannot openly have a discussion with your kids because of the fear that they might go and repeat this in front of the wrong people, and the government's going to be on our ass, like, it's like, what kind of world are we living in now?
Yeah, I think
Right?
you're
It's
pretty familiar with the Cold War,
Yep.
Soviet Union.
Yep.
Everybody knew the government was completely full of shit, but nobody could say it because they would have real world consequences.
Yep.
And people like to throw around words like tyranny and things like that. We're living in a tyranny of the mind. We're watching it unfold. I think the tyranny of the mind, to where a person like you just laid it right out.
Yep.
And how do you live that way? Really hard to live that way.
Yep.
And all of them fail eventually. They do fail. They generally fail for a lot of reasons. Sometimes it's mistakes in economics, sometimes it's people uprising. And I like to see what's going on in Albania,
Yeah. Yeah.
in Ireland. And I honestly don't ever want that to come to America because everybody's armed.
Yep.
I'd rather not see it come to our shores. It should come to our shores. It's necessary. We should stop these monsters in their tracks tomorrow. But if it does unleash here, it's not going to be good.
Yep. Yeah. No. And I mean, it makes me, you know, unfortunately, it makes me question, like, what kind of was having kids the best idea that I could come up with? Because is this a world that I wanted my kids to be in? Like, this is because this is fucked up, you know?
Yeah.
And what kind of world did I bring my kids into?
Fair,
So
fair.
it's a very, I feel like sad that I even have to think like that. But that thought does cross my mind, especially the last few months. It crossed my mind. I was like, what kind of fucking world are my kids gonna inherit?
Right.
You know, like if actually shit hits the fan and there's like famine or something for like 10, 15 years around the world,
Yeah.
and there's like really, really piss poor economic conditions over here, like and with AI taking over like jobs. And I mean, I don't so we discussed AI music, but if you look at how AI is being sold to us by all these corporations, oh yeah, we're gonna cut like this many jobs, AI is gonna replace this many people. They're openly saying it and nobody's batting an eye, and they're laying off tens of thousands of people. So what I don't even know what to tell my kids to pursue as a career. Like, because my kid, the older one, she asks me sometimes, she's like, why can't I use a calculator right now to do this? I'm like, well, I want you to use your mind so that you can. And I give her the whole speech.
Sure.
And she's like, but like, my teacher used ChatGPT to show us the answer and the working for this, and I'm going to use that when I get a job anyway, so why do I have to do this? And I'm just like, just do it, because
I
dad said so. Yeah, because I said so. That's my last line of defense, and then I just walk out. But
Right. And hope
what are
she
you gonna
does.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope she does it. So it's like, times are really, really strange times, man. Honestly, I just there are days where I just like an ostrich, I just bury my head and I just don't think about it. I'm just like, you know what, just forget about it and just enjoy whatever you're doing right now.
Yep.
But it's becoming more and more challenging to live like that, I will
Sure.
say. So
Because their pressures are increased and increased each day.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I can give you one saving grace that I think from history that I think we forget about from time to time. And I can only really relate American history because I don't know enough about your country's history to speak on it. I won't even try.
Mhm.
But I know you know ours, so it's kind of common ground to talk about.
Yep.
There were families in 1931 in the US and in
Mhm.
Canada because the Great Depression hit Canada really hard
Yep.
too. And there were families with men your age, with children your age, thinking the same thing. And we adapt. And the best, for me, the very best quality and the very worst quality that humans have is that we're adaptable.
Yeah.
So we will adapt to really shitty situations
Yeah.
and say that it's okay, it's normal. And then when it gets so bad that we have to adapt a different way, we do. And so I think this thing is I don't know what this thing is. It's a weird place. There's strange shit going on all the time.
Yeah.
What we're faced with now, I think, seems really frightening to me and to a lot of people. Digital currency, flock cameras, all the stuff. But I do think that our innate spirit, that thing that gives you joy when you make music, that thing inside of you that feels that and wants to share it with another human being, to watch them smile or affect them in a positive way or affect them in a way they need to heal on, whatever that may be. I think that driver will always win over the evil bastards and the retards. I really think it will. And sorry, that word just came out, but I do. So I'm hopeful. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, and it doesn't mean we're going to have any kind of life like we used to have, but I think we can get through it.
Yeah.
And I mean that sincerely.
I think that's beautiful what you said, and you're right. As some things do, they sound cliche, but they're true. Life goes on. People somehow always make it through one way or another.
Yep.
So that's kind of like what we can hope for. My only main stressors for me are for my family more than myself, to be honest. So but that's always going to be there. Even in good times, you worry when your kid's outside. So that's something that's never going to go away anyway.
Right.
But I do hope that we can leave a world for them that is, there's going to be challenges. Obviously, challenge is part of life, and it builds character, so that's fine. But at least they're not. I hope the cards aren't stacked so against them that they can, their whole life is spent just trying to adapt constantly to chaos. I just hope there's some semblance of peace for our kids. That's all I can hope for.
Well said. And that's a good prayer to have for everybody out there.
Yeah.
Everybody who's listening to this, and you think about your own families if you've really listened to our words and hearing what we're saying. I mean, pray for peace is always the best thing, and be peaceful in the world.
Yeah. No, and one of my prayers, always staple prayers, is that, obviously I pray that no harm comes to my kids, but I always add that my kids don't become the reason or cause for harm to other people as well.
Yep.
Because it's a two-way street. It's a two-way street. Like, that's what we have to realize. Life is not just take. It's about giving as well. And you can't just say, "Oh, I hope I don't get hurt," and but meanwhile you go around like hurting people. So if everyone starts thinking that way, and teaching their kids that, okay, this is how you protect yourself, but also you have to be cognizant of other people as well, and you have to protect them and not harm them either. So that's kind of like my philosophy on life. So I hope that's how they grow up, at least, and our kids, your kids. So let's see how it goes.
Well, one good thing too is they say the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree.
I hope so. I hope so.
If the tree's doing its job, then the kids are going to be fine.
Yeah. I try my best, but at the same time, I hope they become even bigger, beautiful trees than I could ever imagine becoming. So, you always want your kids to do even better than you. So,
yeah,
let's see.
So, how about this, my friend? I've really enjoyed our time.
Likewise.
We've covered a ton, more than I expected, and I'm glad for that. I would like to play Surrender if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. That's my latest one.
Yeah, it is your latest one, and it's really good. And then we'll come back and just kind of wrap things up. If you got anything that is in your mind you want to share to people, by all means, and we'll talk about where people can find you. How's that?
Oh, perfect. Sounds good.
Right on. Then we will be right back. I like that you always thank your audience.
I've said this multiple times. Like I wouldn't be where I am without the audience. So it's everything I am as a musician where I am right now is because of them. So I give them all the credit.
There you go.
So I have to thank them.
You got any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. I really enjoyed the conversation, even though we kind of segued into politics as well. But that was bound to happen. We both are. We both enjoy political discussions, so that was bound to happen. I hope the audience we didn't bore them. but yeah, I was again very humbled that you wanted to do this. Thank you very much. And closing thoughts would be there's a premiere happening in July. That's going to be hopefully the last premiere before I drop the album. I'm working on an album right now, and hopefully we'll be ready by then. If not, then I just might have to premiere another song. But let's see. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where this journey leads. Again,
Nice.
no long-term goal. I'm just taking it day by day, and then let's see where I end up.
Seems to work out best when we do that, from my experience.
It does. It does. It does. There was a time I started taking a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety because of this. That I want to make more album sales. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to hit at least this number. Now I've kind of just let all that go. I've become much more relaxed about it, and I'm enjoying it, to be honest. Even enjoying the time with my kids now more, because first it used to be, okay, no, I have a deadline, I got to get this premiere ready and stuff. And then 16 would walk in and I'd be like, man, I need some time and this and that. Now I'm just like, whenever he pops and I'm like, come on, bro, let's
Yep.
go. Let's
Right.
go play, let's chill. So it's kind of changed me in a good way as well. So
That's great to hear.
yeah.
One quick story.
Yes.
My life, I was taught to be outcome oriented, kind of like you were talking about. I've got deadlines, I've got things I need to make this outcome.
Yep.
And when I was, I don't know how old I was, doesn't matter, but I built a sprinkler repair company on my own, in-ground sprinklers for grass and crap. And
Nice.
I had to become process oriented. So if I tighten these bolts right on the valve and I put the clamp on right and I put the pipe in right, then the outcome's assured. If I
Absolutely.
do this moment the right way that I know is not going to leak, then I don't have to stress about it leaking because it's not gonna. And it really shifted my focus, and it sounded like kind of what you were talking about. Once you let go of that, hit these numbers, hit these deadlines, then it became more fun.
Exactly. I know that's very good. That's really, really something I respect. What you just said about focusing on the process more than the outcome, because the outcome is going to be dictated by how much effort you put into the process and learning and all this. So it's 100%. I couldn't have said it any better. I completely agree. My only frustration with myself is uh, when so practice is part of the process, right? But I have hardly had any time to practice over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So my practice is mostly when I'm just recording. So I don't get to sit down and really give a lot of time to speeding up or practicing some scales or whatever. I just don't have the time. So that is something that frustrates me, where I feel like I'm not putting in as much effort in the process. So but that is something I think with time, as the kids are growing older, I'm gonna have a little more time. So I'm going to start focusing on that. That still is, it's not something that I've completely abandoned. I will be getting into it, but as you said, as long as you are putting your 100% in the process, the outcome is predetermined pretty
Yeah.
much. You're absolutely right.
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been fantastic. Speaking of practice, if you go over to the Indie Roller Coaster on Thursday nights, you're going to see 15th Men play live sometimes. It's actually one of my favorite parts of the stream. He took a song that this woman, I'm because I'm focused on you, like Scars and Shadows,
Yeah, Scars and Shadows.
did an amazing song. And 15, she was in the chat, and 15's like, "Hey, sometime on a plane." She's like, "Go for it." And so he did it live, and it was like, okay, this is good. This is where the good stuff lies. So
Yes. Well, it helped that that song is so beautiful. Shout out to Scars and Shadows.
yeah, it made it real easy, didn't it?
Yep, it did.
So follow. I'm going to put all the links. 15th Ben's on Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp, YouTube. He's got his own website, 15thben.com. Get over there. If you like the music, support what you like. If you can't afford an album, send them a couple bucks. Support these indie artists. They need it. And they're giving themselves to you, obviously. I'm so thankful for your time and your attention, 15th. You're humbled. I'm humbled. I mean, I'm not an interviewer. I'm just a guy who talks about nonsense on the internet. And I was curious about you, so I wanted to learn more. And you were gracious enough to take the time out of your life to do it. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer because you've been not only, and you don't. I disagree with the nonsense part. I haven't heard nonsense from you yet. Every time you have dropped by my live stream, and when you said, support the indie artists, even if they can't send a buck, just taking time out of their lives to come and listen to us, I think that there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
So you have always done that, so thank you very much. So this was a no-brainer. As soon as you messaged me about it, I was like, okay, we have to do this 100%.
Right
So again, thank you very much, and I am really, really grateful, and I had a great time.
Awesome. That's good to hear. You are welcome, my friend, and I hope we get to do it again. If not,
Yes,
see you on your live streams.
absolutely, you will. Roller coaster.
On the roller coaster. All right.
Yeah.
Take
All
care,
right.
15th.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Brother. Bye.
Humans say dogs are man's best friend.
That's fine. We're their boss.